written by Rabbi Menachem Creditor. This is a beautiful song, and the Hebrew says the world will be built with loving kindness. And one thing I love about the message of this song is that it's not exactly clear who is doing the building. At one point, the English words will say, I will build this world with love, you'll build it with love. If we build this world with love together, then God will build this world with love. And I know that any God I might believe in is certainly looking for us humans to make the world better, not just wait for some divine power to do it for us. And so I invite you into the spirit of this song to imagine a better world and to rededicate ourselves to it this evening. Olam kasedi bane, yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. Olam kasedi bane, yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. Olam kasedi bane. Yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. Olam chesedi banei. Yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. Olam chesedi banei. Yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. Olam chesedi bane. 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 Yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. Olam chesedi banei. Yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. I will build this world with love. Yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. And you will build this world with love. Yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. And if we build this world with love, yadadai, 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 then God will build this world with love. Yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. Olam chesedi bane. Yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. Olam chesedi bane. Yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. Olam chesedi banei. 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 Yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. Yada yada yada.
That was beautiful, Matt. Thank you. Thanks for making that tambourine sing tonight. My name is Mark David Buckles. I'm the music director of Sanctuary Boston. So glad to be here with you all on this fourth night of Hanukkah to share some songs. We're going to sing next a song called Will You Seek in Far Off Places? And it's one we've been doing pretty much as long as Sanctuary Boston existed. For those of you with the Unitarian Universalist hymnals, it's one of those little known ones with the numbers 300 and something. And it's a great little song that just sort of invites us to return to the things that we know. So often we're looking for the new, the novel experience. And sometimes it's just we need to find find that beauty in the things that are close to us, the people that are close to us, the place that's here right now. And I love it, and I hope you'll enjoy singing it with me. It goes like this. Will you seek in far off places? Surely you come home at last. In familiar forms and faces, things best known you find the best. Will you seek? Will you seek in far off places? Surely you'll come home at last. In familiar forms and faces, things best known you'll find the best. Will you seek? Will you seek in far off places? Surely you'll come home at last. In familiar forms and faces, things best known you'll find the best. Joy and peace, joy and peace are in this hour. Here, not in another place. Here in this beloved flower. Now in this beloved face. Joy, joy and peace are in this hour. Here, not in another place. Here in this beloved flower. Now in this beloved face. Will you seek? Will you seek in far off places? Surely you'll come home at last. In familiar forms and faces, things best known you'll find the best. Joy, joy and peace are in this hour. Here, not in another place. Here in this beloved flower. Now in this beloved face. Will you seek? Will you seek in far off places? Surely you'll come home at last. In familiar forms and faces, things best known you'll find the best.
We light our chalices as we enter worship this evening. If you have a candle or a chalice, at home, you're welcome to light yours along with us, or if you'd like to just take a moment to breathe a little more deeply, you're welcome to do that too. We share these words adapted from Reverend Hannah Roberts Benave.
Why do we gather here? What's the point? After all, the earth will turn and the darkness will ebb and flow, and our days will continue on without this place, without this time. So, why do we gather?
Couldn't we all be sleeping or watching Netflix or making dinner? Maybe some of us are.
Instead, we have gathered again to make this place holy with our presence and our love, to make this place home with our hard work and our hearts.
It is an ancient thing to build a home for the holy, to create a temple in which we might find God, or not.
But our temple lives beyond these walls, beyond this foundation, in the lives we live and the love we give.
Come gather with us this evening and rededicate the temple of your heart to justice, mercy, hope, and love.
Well, again, welcome to Worship with Sanctuary Boston. My name is Matt, and I'm the Director of Operations and Community Life here for Sanctuary. A few logistics again, we are recording this gathering, so if you'd rather not have your face on YouTube later, you can always turn your camera off. But if you're up for it, we invite you and encourage you to leave your camera on so we can see your beautiful smiling faces. And it's part of how we gather and some of the joy we find in gathering even in this odd way. We do recommend the gallery view so that you can see other folks, although you can always move folks around if you'd like, if you want to see the cats or the animals or dancing children or whoever else. And even though you're muted, we do invite you to sing along. This is a great chance to sing out like you sing in the shower, a great time to try out some harmonies you might not have been so bold to try if others could hear you. So please sing along if you're so moved. And also feel free to chat with folks in the chat box to connect or to say an amen or whatever else you're moved to share. Sanctuary is 11 months away from our 10-year anniversary. I've been thinking about that recently. Our board had a retreat last month, just about the time of our 9-year anniversary. And in preparation for that retreat, I put together a big history of our community and our organization. So I've just been reflecting a lot on all of the ways we've dedicated our community to our values, that rededicated ourselves to building this community and rededicated ourselves to each other, to being in a relationship, to growth and connection over the years. Now, some organizations are really into strategic planning. They create a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan or more, and they figure out every step how to get from here to where they want to be, and they lay it all out in advance. Let me tell you, Sanctuary Boston is not that kind of community and not that kind of organization. Some folks that talk about a more emergent way of growing in community talk about how vines grow. And if you've ever watched a sped up time-lapse video of a vine growing, it's a beautiful thing because it doesn't move in a straight line. It kind of moves up in this spiral. It constantly is moving in circles as it climbs because it doesn't see the whole path ahead. But as it's in motion, it can feel the world around it and it can find the next right step for each moment, for each day. And my hope is that Sanctuary Boston continues to grow like that, always looking for the right next step, always growing toward light and toward nutrients, always moving towards health, but always experimenting as we go. We dedicate ourselves to our values and to each other. And then as we get new information, we rededicate ourselves to that work and continue to grow towards light and towards nutrients, continue to grow towards health. So whether you've been with us all these 9 years or whether you're just here for this evening, we invite you to be part of this growing together, this finding our way forward together for this evening at least. Let's welcome each other into this space made sacred by your showing up with our words of welcome. And we invite you to read along at home. And tonight we've got three folks from our younger adult small group that's been meeting this fall who are going to read our words of welcome together.
Whether you go to church on Sunday morning
or light candles on Friday nights,
Whether you've been hurt by religion,
saved by it,
or some of both,
whether you're brand new to the spiritual community,
or a seasoned seeker,
whoever you are, whatever you are,
wherever you are on your journey,
we welcome
we
you.
welcome you.
Thank you all. And let's continue to welcome each other by taking a few minutes to greet your neighbor in the chat box. So we'll hear just another couple minutes of music, and we invite you to say hello to an old friend or especially greet someone who is not yet a friend. And just say it's good to have you here, good to have you with us, and say hello in the chat. We'll take just a few minutes before we regather. Thank you, Mark, David. Welcome again to all of you. And we have a tradition at Sanctuary Boston of sanctuary moments, times to talk about moments in this community or in the rest of our lives where we've touched on some of the values of sanctuary that are most important to us. So I want to invite Rihanna to talk a little bit about her small group experience this evening.
Hello, my name is Rihanna Johnson-Levy. I first had the fortune to stumble upon and attend Sanctuary 3 years ago during the 2 years that I lived in Boston. After Boston, I lived for 2 years in Los Angeles, only to move again this fall to Ann Arbor, Michigan. I have felt incredibly fortunate to stay in touch with Sanctuary throughout this whirlwind time in my life. When the pandemic began and activities moved online, I jumped at the opportunity to participate in one of Sanctuary's virtual small groups. While living in Boston, I had always wanted to join one, hoping the discussion format would help me connect to the community. I loved Sanctuary services, but always found making conversation before and after worship difficult. I'm a bit of an introvert extrovert, eager to talk, but often unsure of where to start. I had all of these questions at the time. Is it okay that my job makes me unhappy if it's for a cause I believe in? Should I take a risk and move across the country for a new relationship? The questions in my life felt big, so during social gatherings, I kept the talk small. My questions finally found a home in the small group I joined last spring for young adults between 18 and 25. In a new city, hunkered down at home, the group brought a welcome escape from the routines and challenges of my job, grad school applications, and personal life. Our small group became a place where I could pose questions that I wasn't even close to having answers for, that there are no answers for. We created a curriculum together that addressed some of the specific challenges of making friends as a young adult during a pandemic, navigating relationships, moves, passions, and our investments in religion. Most helpful to me was a discussion we had on COVID-related reopening after we were all able to get vaccinated, something I wouldn't have ever known I'd need in the months before. That's been my experience of small groups, as spaces I hoped for, but didn't know how much I needed to make friends, to ask questions, and to find more peace within myself. They've been a feeling of sanctuary in the truest sense of the word. Thank you.
Thank you, Rihanna. I am so glad you've been able to join us from Michigan. It's really a treat. I'm going to share a video that Matt and I recorded earlier in the pandemic, as you can tell by the length of hair, and I invite you to sing along. This is Return Again. It's one of those ones that can be done kind of as a round. There's two parts. You can sing one and then the other, or you can just stick with whatever's calling to you, and invite you to join along.
Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul.
Join with us.
Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul.
Return to who you are.
Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Return again, return again, return to the home of your soul. Return to who you are. Return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return to who you are, return to what you are, return to where you are, born and reborn again. Return again, return again. To the home of your soul.
Last time.
Return again. Return again. Return to the home of your soul.
Reborn again.
That was so beautiful. Thank you. We're gonna light some Hanukkah candles. So this year Hanukkah starts a little earlier than it sometimes does, on the secular calendar, falling before the winter solstice when nights are still getting longer. The sensation of the days getting shorter and shorter calls to mind this teaching from the Talmud. The rabbis imagined Adam, the first person, in the Garden of Eden. Adam notices the days getting shorter and darker as the very first winter solstice approaches. Adam is absolutely terrified that the world is ending and that his death is imminent, and so he fasts and prays for 8 days. After the solstice passed, the days gradually got longer, and bit by bit, the light came back. Adam was so relieved as he realized that the coming and going of the darkness was simply part of how the world worked, and the following year he celebrated and feasted for 8 days.
This story speaks to our shared human need for light, feasting, and celebrations at this time of year. In all the ways we celebrate over these next few weeks, whether it's the celebration that you grew up with, sharing in a loved one's rituals, or creating a brand new tradition, may it bring more light into this world that so desperately needs it. As we light the candles for the 4th night of Hanukkah, we'll sing the traditional blessings over the candles. If you have your own menorah and candles, you're welcome to light yours along with us. The words to the blessings are in the chat, both in Hebrew and in English, and you're welcome to sing along as we begin to light up the night.
All right, so I have my helpers here, and we're going to try to keep the small one away from the flying plane. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kirishanu b'mitzvah tov v'tzivanu l'chadlik ner shel Hanukkah. Blessed art you, source of all, who brings moments of holiness to our lives through the ritual of lighting the Hanukkah lights.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim b'avoteinu bayamim hahem b'zman hazeh. Blessed are you, source of all, who brings our attention to miracles from ages past to this very moment.
Thank you, Sky and Sarah and Simon and Sam. So as I begin this evening, the first thing you need to know is that I'm recovering from a cold. I'm just getting my voice back. So if you're having trouble understanding my scratchy voice, please let us know in the chat, and my housemate Courtney will take over reading. The second thing you need to know to understand this reflection is that I'm Jewish, and I started studying to be a rabbi before changing paths to become a Unitarian Universalist minister. Okay, on with the story. When I was a child, Hanukkah felt magical, cheery, and deliciously intimate. In my first year studying to be a rabbi, I started learning about the history of the holiday, though, and the magic faded into distaste. I have been on a mission to reclaim the magic. I have vivid memories of Hanukkah from when I was maybe 7 or 8 years old. My dad and I would go out into the chilly night air, straining our eyes against the glare of the streetlights. According to Jewish tradition, night begins when you can spot 3 stars in the sky. When I jubilantly spotted the third light that wasn't an airplane or a planet, I would rush back inside to light the Hanukkah candles. I loved the task of counting out and squeezing in the candles just right into the snug branches of the menorah. And I spent a good deal of time choosing which color candles to use because I wanted them to be aesthetically pleasing. My dad would light the shamash, the helper candle, and gently, carefully pass it to me to light the other candles. I cherished the chance to sing the blessings over the candles with the special melody that we used only at Hanukkah, which you just heard. As we sang the final words of the second blessings, the one that Sky did, we would launch right into the Lubkin family traditional first song, Ma'oz Tzor, which goes something like this. Ma'oz Tzor Yeshuati, but with more melody, because usually I would have more of a voice. So you hear Mark David sing it with some more melody after this. That melody is always linked for me with the smell of freshly extinguished matches and melting wax. The song felt warm in my chest. It was my song. So I carried this sense memory with me at age 25 when I sat down for a class session on Hanukkah as part of the first year rabbinical school curriculum. I was taught in Hebrew school growing up that we celebrated Hanukkah to commemorate the war that the heroic Maccabees won against the oppressive Greek army, and that when the Jews finally re-entered the sacred temple to relight the eternal flame, they discovered that there was only enough oil to keep the lamp burning for just one night. They used that one jar of oil, but behold, a miracle! The oil lasted for 8 days, and therefore we light the candles for 8 nights. But here in rabbinical school, I was going to get, quote, the true story of Hanukkah. My teacher, Rabbi Alan Lehman, prefaced his lecture about the history of Hanukkah with the statement, quote, "You're all gonna hate me for taking all of the magic out of Hanukkah. It's gonna be like I'm killing Santa Claus for you." History is really complicated and hard to retell, but to the best of my understanding, here's what went down. The Maccabean Revolt was both a war against an outside enemy, an oppressive ruling force, and it was a civil war, an internal conflict. It's kind of a perfect storm. In the land of Judea, in the 2nd century BC, the Jews were extremely divided amongst themselves. The biggest fight was between those Jews who were assimilating into Greek culture, into kind of the mainstream, and those who clung very strictly to their understanding of traditional observance, resisting all kinds of foreign influence. There was huge religious and social agitation. So then you add to this a Greek ruler who decreed that for political reasons, Jews must abandon their religion, and you have a recipe for disaster. When Judah Maccabee struck the first blow of the revolution, the first person he killed was a Jew, one who had obeyed the king's command to give up his Judaism. Judah Maccabee then attacked a Greek soldier and fled for the hills with his fellow zealots. The Maccabees waged a guerrilla war, eventually beating the Greeks and winning back the right to be Jewish, as well as control of the temple. About 40 years later, in the year 164 BC, the first Festival of Light was celebrated essentially as propaganda, commemorating the victory of the now ruling faction of Jews. As I heard this historical account, the magic of Hanukkah began to fall away for me in chunks. And then I got more nervous, as Rabbi Lehman said he was turning our attention to Ma'oz Tzor, my song. I'd never really bothered to think about the Hebrew words to the song much. My teacher handed out a copy of the lyrics, and I turned my newly strengthened Hebrew skills to decoding the text. And I was horrified by what I read. The song started out all right. It began with words about praise and thanksgiving, but then it went downhill with the following lines. They translated to something like, "When God has prepared the slaughter of the blaspheming foe, then I shall complete the dedication of the altar with a song of praise." Yikes. It's very clearly a song of a people craving self-determination, a people weary of oppression, a people yearning for justice. And it's also undeniably a song about violence. I was completely disgusted. This is the song that I had held so warmly. This is the kind of Judaism that we teach our children that I was teaching in Hebrew school. The message that I saw expressed in this song was, be scared of your neighbors and pray for vengeance upon those who harm you. Emphatically not my kind of religion. Magic gone. I had totally lost my respect for this holiday that I had so loved, and I had a particularly dreary couple of holiday seasons following that year. But several years ago, as I was preparing to preach about Hanukkah to the Unitarian Universalist congregation that I was serving, I decided to give the holiday another chance. I began going through my old rabbinical school notes, trying to find a spark of hope in what felt like a militaristic holiday. And then I found it. Bingo. I discovered that Rabbi Lehman, my teacher, had offered an alternative version to that verse in Ma'oz Tzor that had most repelled me. By changing just one Hebrew word, he changed the song's entire tone from tashchin to tashbit. So the line that was, when God has prepared the slaughter of the blaspheming foes, could become, when God shall put an end to slaughter and the narrowness of slander, then we shall sing a song of thanksgiving. Okay, an end to slaughter. That is my kind of Judaism. Suddenly, what I had seen as a song about vengeance became a song about hope. A song about seeing the day when war and bloodshed cease, when nation shall not lift up sword against nation, and we will not know war anymore. And what's more, we will not get through that day through violence. The passage from the book of Zechariah that's chanted in the middle of Hanukkah speaks this loud and clear with the verse, not by might and not by power, but by spirit alone shall we live in peace. By the gentleness of our hearts, by our bravery of spirit, shall we all live in peace. This, to me, carries a spark of magic back into this holiday. This is a song that can feel warm in my heart. As we enter this winter holiday season this year, I'm really trying to conjure up some holiday spirit. I could really use it this year. I don't know about you. I have always loved this time of year. And I used to joke that I had more Christmas spirit than any Jew other than maybe Irving Berlin, the famous composer of I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas. Growing up, I loved singing Christmas carols, decorating friends' Christmas trees, and watching special Christmas movies, and driving around looking at our neighbors' holiday lights. And yet, it always felt more than a little taboo for me to celebrate other people's holidays. It seemed that because they weren't the traditions that I was raised with, there was just no way for me to celebrate the holidays authentically. But boy, how I yearned to. This is one of the things that I love about Unitarian Universalism. Because it is a faith which draws from many sources and from the wisdom of world religions, we do honor and celebrate each other's holidays. We hope to celebrate in the spirit of curiosity, of open exploration, of solidarity. I hope we celebrate because we like celebrating. I, as someone who was raised Jewish, get a chance to finally express the magic that I see in the Christmas season because I am in community with those who do celebrate the holiday. So come Christmas Eve, I'm like a kid in a candy shop, gleefully singing Silent Night with my candle aglow. And this feels possible for me to experience in an authentic way because of multi-faith community, because of Unitarian Universalism. As far as I'm concerned, the more holiday magic that we can create, the better. When we're in a festive spirit, I think that we all embody our best selves. A part of me continues to wonder, though, how much easier is it for us to find magic in someone else's tradition than in our own? I know in my years of ministry, I have encountered so many people who came to Unitarian Universalism precisely because they became less comfortable with the religion that they may have grown up with. In my opening story, I admit that I really struggled with finding meaning, let alone magic, in celebrating Hanukkah. And it felt so much easier for me to write off the holiday than to struggle with it. When I celebrate Christmas, it didn't have the same baggage for me as Hanukkah did. It was shiny and new, like snow that no one's walked in yet. The reason I share this story is because I don't think that I'm alone. I think that many of us shy away from certain holidays or rituals which have become uncomfortable or filled with emotional baggage or even distasteful to us. But coming together in pluralistic faith communities, like Sanctuary Boston or Unitarian Universalist congregations or a whole bunch of others, it doesn't need to be just about sharing wounded pasts, although for many of us we do carry scars. There can also be an invitation to bring the magic and celebrations together from our many different lives. There's an invitation to return to sacred sources with fresh eyes, to start afresh again and again, willing to find new ways into old traditions. So this holiday season, even as I delight in celebrating solstice and Christmas with Sanctuary and with my UU congregations, I'm also really cherishing my own Jewish roots and practice. And I wonder, as we enter these winter holidays, where can each of us allow ourselves and challenge ourselves to reclaim some of the magic from our own traditions that we might have lost along the way, regardless of what traditions they were, religious, family, cultural, whatever they are, to find some way of reclaiming some magic. And when you find that magic, will you bring it here to all of us? Will you share the magic that you've found so that we can celebrate together? I'm so grateful to be celebrating with you. So may it be.
Thank you, Joanna, for that beautiful reflection. We're going to sing that song now, Mount Zor, Rock of Ages. And I've been, I feel blessed to have gotten to experience Judaism as the, in a way, somewhat like you, I got to experience Christianity. And I've been singing this song for, almost 15 years, but it still doesn't feel like my song, but it's nice to be able to do it and to share it with all of you. So we're going to sing a verse in Hebrew, and then we'll sing 3 verses in English. Mount Zor Yeshuati Lecha Na'el Leshabeach Tikon Bet Tefilati Vesham Toda Nesabeach Letakin Mateach Vitzur Hamabeach Azek Mor Beshir Mizmor Hanukkah HaMizbeach Rock of ages, let our song praise your saving power. You amidst the raging foes were our sheltering tower. Raging they assailed us, but your arm availed us, and your word broke their sword when our own strength failed us. Kindling to the holy lambs, priests unbowed by suffering, purified the nation's shrine, brought to God their offering. And in lands surrounding, hear the joy surrounding, happy throngs singing songs with a mighty sounding. Children of the prophet's word, whether free or fettered, wake the echoes of the songs where you may be scattered. Yours the message cheering that the time is nearing, which shall see nations free, tyrants disappearing, which shall see nations free, tyrants disappearing.
Each week at Sanctuary, we take an offering and share half the plate with an organization that is doing important work in our community and region. This week, Sanctuary has chosen HIAS, Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. Their mission draws on their Jewish values and history. HIAS provides vital services to refugees and asylum seekers around the world and advocates for their fundamental rights so they can rebuild their lives. Established over 100 years ago, supporting Jews fleeing persecution and poverty in Eastern Europe, today their clients come from diverse faiths, ethnicities, and backgrounds, and they work to ensure that refugees today receive the vital services and opportunities they need to thrive. One of their current projects in the United States is resettling Afghan refugees seeking asylum in the United States. I invite you to give as generously as you are able using the PayPal link found in the chat or by using Venmo at Sanctuary Boston, and please put offering in the notes. May our shared offering begin.
And we will care for each other as the world around us unravels, and we will tend to the spark of hope that lives within our grieving hearts. And we are here now in this present moment, lifting our voices and hearts. And we are here now, we have come together, we are tending the spark of hope. we will care for each other as the world around us unravels, and we will tend to the spark of hope that lives within our grieving hearts. And we are here now in this present moment, lifting our voices and hearts. And we are here now, we have come together, we are tending the spark of hope. Oh, may it grow. And we will care for each other as the world around us unravels, and we will tend to the spark of hope that lives within our grieving hearts. And we are here now in this present moment, lifting our voices and hearts. And we are here now, we have come together, we are tending the spark of hope. Oh, may it grow. And we will care for each other.
There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love.
Dear ones, we arrive this evening together, bringing all of the joys and sorrows of our complex lives, the griefs and the gratitudes, the sorrows and the celebrations. And particularly as we enter this holiday season, we know some of us are filled up with more joy than ever, counting our blessings every day. And some of us are perhaps weighed down more than at any other time of the year, thinking of losses, large and small, thinking of loved ones that are no longer with us, or struggling with illness or loss. And so we invite you to bring all of that with you tonight. We recognize that when we share our burdens, they are lightened. When we share our joys together, they are magnified. So I invite you now to just take a few moments and share in the chat box, starting with any sorrows that you may be carrying this evening. We'll have another few minutes of music. We invite you to share those sorrows now so that we can carry them together.
this love.
And even in difficult times and uncertain times, we arrive also bringing joys large and small. We invite you to share any joys in your heart in the chat box now as we share some more music and magnify those joys in community.
There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love.
Beloveds, I invite you to join me in a spirit of prayer, a moment of grounding and connection, a moment of reflection together. Spirit of love that is within us and between us, be with us as we are with each other this evening, with each other in the all of it, the lows and the highs, the cold and the warmth, the endings and the beginnings. Spirit of love, be with us as we lighten the burdens of loss for one another, thinking of siblings and grandchildren who are struggling or ill, mothers and grandmothers who have been lost. Our bodies are frail and fragile, and they are beautiful and they are holy, every one of them. Be with us in the balance of it. And be with us as we're with each other also in the celebrations, the new connections and the deepening friendships, celebrating the beauty of the natural world, looking to the rituals and the traditions in this time of year that celebrate light and warmth, even in a season of cold winds and early sunsets. Spirit of love, be with us in the all of it, in the joys and the sorrows, in the grief and the gratitude, in the highs and the lows, in the endings and the beginnings. Be with us as we are with each other in love. Amen.
Make us aware we are a sanctuary, each made holy and loved right through. With thanksgiving, we are a living sanctuary anew. Make us aware we are a sanctuary, each made holy and loved right through. With thanksgiving, we are a living sanctuary anew.
My friends, let's allow ourselves to experience the joy and the magic of our traditions as we come back to them again and again. Let's build new ways and rebuild the old ones. Let's bring our festive spirit, our curiosity, and our willingness to sift to find the magic in the holidays. Let's find the songs which feel warm in our hearts. May we sing them together.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, everyone. Our last song is Building a New Way. Joe and I talked about this one a little bit, and it's kind of funny because it's a service about finding our way to the old ways, but sometimes to find our way to the old ways, we have to build a new way to them, build a new connection, a new association, find our own way into that magic. So as we think about not starting from scratch, I invite us to think about how we can deepen our connections as we build our own new ways. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free of hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these the world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry. We are building
Mark, David, thank you so much for sending us out with some rhythm and some harmony. Such a joy to sing along even across the distance here.